Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing HFY stories. Hit the bell icon to get notified about our latest uploads. The cold expanse of space shimmered with unyielding beauty, but Captain Maya Locke had little time to admire it. She was a seasoned explorer, captain of the SS Horizon, and her mission was to chart the uncharted. This was humanity's first journey into the Pleiades cluster, an enigmatic region of the galaxy surrounded by myths of lost civilizations and forbidden encounters. The Horizon drifted into orbit around a planet labeled PX 731, its green and gold surface breathtaking against the starlit void. Scans showed life, advanced infrastructure, and, strangely, no electromagnetic signals typical of active civilizations. Are we sure it's uninhabited? Maya asked, glancing at the holographic display that floated above the console. Not exactly, Captain, replied Dr. Evan Turing, the ship's xenobiologist. His voice trembled with excitement. The biosignatures are inconsistent. Whatever's down there is complex. Complex how? Maya's sharp tone was more than curiosity, it was preparation. In her years, complex often meant dangerous. Dr. Turing hesitated. There's a humanoid presence. It's faint like echoes. Maya's stomach twisted. Echoes? That was never good. Yet, she was here to explore, to push boundaries, and this planet was a gold mine of potential. Prep the landing party. We'll follow protocol. The landing was smooth, but the atmosphere carried a weight that words couldn't describe. The air shimmered unnaturally as though the planet itself pulsed with unseen energy. Giant crystalline spires rose from the earth, casting prismatic light across the verdant plains. The expedition team consisted of Maya, Dr. Turing, and 2 security officers, Corporal Lee and Sergeant Vega. They moved cautiously, their senses heightened by the eerie silence of the landscape. It's too quiet, Vega muttered, gripping her plasma rifle tightly. Captain, look. Lee pointed toward a crystalline structure in the distance. It resembled a cathedral, towering and radiant, its surface etched with alien glyphs. As they approached, a low hum filled the air. The sound was melodic, almost hypnotic, and it seemed to resonate with Maya's heartbeat. Her chest tightened, not in fear but in familiarity. Inside the structure, they discovered what could only be described as a throne room. At its center stood a figure shrouded in luminescent robes. The being was tall, its form humanoid but undeniably alien. Its skin shimmered like polished obsidian, and its eyes glowed a deep amethyst. A crown-like structure floated above its head, pulsating with the same rhythm Maya had felt earlier. The being spoke, not in words but in thoughts that echoed within their minds. You are not of this world, yet your heart beats like ours. Why have you come? Maya stepped forward, drawn to the figure. We come in peace. We seek knowledge and understanding. The being tilted its head, a gesture that seemed both curious and skeptical. Knowledge is earned, not taken. Do you seek to take from us as others have? Before Maya could respond, the being raised a hand, and a wave of energy surged through the room. Maya felt it, a kaleidoscope of emotions, memories, and sensations not her own. Flashes of destruction, betrayal, and loss filled her mind. She gasped, collapsing to her knees. What are you? She managed to choke out. The being's expression softened, and it stepped closer. I am Prince Kylothar of the Asarian. This world is my sanctuary, my exile, and now, it may be yours. Dr. Turing and the others stood frozen, their weapons useless against the overwhelming presence of Kylothar. Maya, however, felt an inexplicable connection to him. Her fear was replaced by something deeper, recognition. You're not like them, Kylothar said, his voice echoing softly in her mind. Your heart is pure. Maya stared into his glowing eyes, feeling a strange warmth. I don't know what you mean, but I'm here to understand. To help if I can. Kylothar hesitated, as if weighing a decision that would change everything. Finally, he extended a hand to Maya. Then you must see the truth. As Maya took his hand, the room dissolved into light. She was no longer on PX 731. She was elsewhere, somewhere impossibly vast and beautiful, yet broken, a memory of a civilization on the brink of annihilation. When the vision ended, Maya found herself back in the crystalline hall, her team staring at her in confusion. Kylothar's expression was somber. Your kind may be the salvation my people need, or their final undoing. Maya's heart raced as she tried to process what she had seen. This mission was no longer about exploration. It was about survival, diplomacy, and perhaps something much more profound. For reasons she couldn't yet explain, Maya felt the weight of the galaxy pressing upon her, and the undeniable pull of the alien prince who had just turned her world upside down. The crystalline walls shimmered as if responding to the tension in the air. Maya remained still, her hand lingering in Kylathar's. The vision she had experienced left her breathless, a fragmented history of a proud yet tragic civilization destroyed by betrayal and war. Her team watched with uneasy silence. Dr. Turing stepped closer, his scanner trembling in his hand. "Captain, are you all right? What just happened?" Maya turned to him, her voice steady but laden with awe. "I saw everything. His people, their fall. She stopped short, unsure how to describe the profound connection she felt to the alien prince. Kylathar released her hand, his luminous eyes narrowing. "Your companions do not share the resonance. They will not understand." "Resonance?" Maya repeated, confused. Dr. Turing interjected, his scientific curiosity overriding his caution. "Wait, are you saying there's a physiological or energetic link between you two?" "Captain, what is he talking about?" Kylathar's gaze swept over the team, his expression unreadable. "It is rare. Few beings across the stars carry the heart resonance. It binds souls across time and space. Your captain possesses it. She is unique." Corporal Lee tightened his grip on his rifle. "That doesn't sound comforting, Captain. We don't even know what this thing is capable of." Maya held up a hand, silencing him. "Stand down, Lee. He's not a threat." She turned back to Kylathar. "You said your people fell because of betrayal. What happened to them?" The prince hesitated, as if speaking the truth would reopen old wounds. Finally he gestured toward the crystalline walls. Light danced across their surfaces, forming vivid, moving images. The Asarian were once a thriving civilization, masters of energy manipulation and harmonic technology. Their world had been a beacon of peace and innovation. But their power drew the attention of the Arcthal Dominion, a brutal interstellar empire bent on conquest. Kylathar's voice resonated in their minds as the story unfolded. "They came under the guise of friendship. We welcomed them, shared our knowledge, and in return they brought ruin. Our trust was our undoing." The images turned dark, showing towering war machines laying waste to cities of light. Asarian warriors fell, their crystalline weapons shattering. Amid the destruction, Kylathar stood defiant, wielding an energy so brilliant it blinded even the holographic depiction. "Is that why you're here?" Maya asked, her voice quiet. "Exiled because you survived?" Kylathar nodded solemnly. "I am the last heir of the Asarian line. This world is my prison, my refuge. And yet I remain bound to my people's legacy." Dr. Turing stepped forward, his voice trembling with both fear and excitement. "If what you're saying is true, your technology and knowledge could revolutionize humanity. You could help us avoid the same mistakes." Kylathar's expression darkened. "Or repeat them. Humanity's potential mirrors our own, but so does your capacity for destruction." Maya met his gaze, her resolve hardening. "Then help us prove you wrong. You can't stay here forever, waiting for the universe to forget you. We came in peace and I mean it." Kylathar stared at her for a long moment, the glow of his crown dimming slightly. "Peace is fragile. It cannot be given, it must be earned. If you are willing, I will guide you, but the path is fraught with peril." As night fell over the alien world, the team set up a temporary camp near the crystalline hall. Despite the breathtaking beauty of their surroundings, tension lingered in the air. Maya stood at the edge of the camp, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The golden glow of the planet's twin moons cast an ethereal light over the landscape. She couldn't shake the feeling that her life had irrevocably changed. "You're awfully quiet." Maya turned to see Kylathar standing a few feet away, his luminous form blending seamlessly with the night. "I'm trying to process everything," she admitted. "The vision you showed me, it felt so real. Like I was there." Kylathar stepped closer, his presence both comforting and unsettling. "The heart resonance allows us to share more than words. It connects us on a deeper level. What you saw was not just my memory, it was my truth." "Why me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why do I have this connection?" Kylathar's gaze softened. "The resonance chooses. It is not something I control. But I believe it is no coincidence that you are here now, at this moment in time." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden burst of static from the comms. Vega's voice crackled through the channel. "Captain, we've got movement, northwest, about 200 meters out." Maya activated her communicator. "Could be wildlife. Stay sharp. I'm on my way." She turned to Kylathar, who was already looking in the direction of the disturbance. "This planet is not as empty as it appears. There are remnants of the Dominion here, Automated sentinels programmed to destroy intruders. Great, Maya muttered. You couldn't have mentioned that earlier? Kylathar's lips twitched in what might have been amusement. It seems your species shares our gift for sarcasm. The team regrouped near the perimeter of the camp. The sentinels emerged moments later, sleek, insect-like machines with jagged appendages and glowing red sensors. They moved with unnerving precision, their metallic bodies reflecting the moonlight. Defensive formation. Maya ordered, raising her plasma pistol. The sentinels charged, their movements swift and relentless. Vega and Lee opened fire, their weapons sending bolts of energy into the oncoming swarm. The sentinels' shields absorbed most of the impact, but a few went down, their metallic frames collapsing in a shower of sparks. Kylathar stepped forward, his crown glowing brightly. He raised his hand, and a wave of energy rippled outward, disintegrating several sentinels in an instant. The remaining machines hesitated, their programming seemingly struggling to adapt to this new threat. What was that? Lee shouted, his voice a mix of awe and disbelief. Focus. Maya barked, firing at another sentinel. The battle was over in minutes. As the last machine fell, Maya turned to Kylathar, who stood calmly amid the wreckage. His power was undeniable, and terrifying. Is this what you were hiding from us? She asked, her tone more curious than accusatory. Kylathar's gaze was steady. It is but a fraction of what I once wielded. Power alone cannot protect a people. It must be tempered with wisdom. Maya felt the weight of his words and the unspoken challenge they carried. Her heart raced, not from the battle, but from the undeniable truth that their fates were now intertwined. The camp was silent except for the faint hum of the crystalline structures surrounding them. The aftermath of the Sentinel attack weighed heavily on Maya and her crew. While the machines were destroyed, the confrontation raised unsettling questions about what lay ahead. Maya sat near the fire, her back against a smooth, iridescent crystal. The flames flickered, casting shadows across her face as she replayed the battle in her mind. Kylathar sat opposite her, his radiant form dimmed slightly as if conserving energy. You knew those sentinels were here, she said, her voice steady but laced with an edge. Why didn't you warn us? Kylathar's glowing eyes met hers, unflinching. If I warned you of every danger, would you still have chosen to stay? Maya opened her mouth to respond but stopped. He was right. The weight of the mission would have felt less daunting, but it wouldn't have changed her decision. She sighed. I guess we're committed now. Dr. Turing approached, his face pale but determined. Captain, if I may, we can't afford to ignore the implications of what just happened. Those sentinels were Dominion tech, right? Kylathar nodded. Indeed. Relics of their conquest. Their programming remains active, ensuring no one reclaims what they believe is theirs. Turing crouched beside the fire, his hands gesturing animatedly. That means the Dominion might still be monitoring this planet. If they realize we're here, they won't. Kylathar's voice carried an air of finality. Their attention lies elsewhere. However, their machines are persistent. If we are to proceed, we must eliminate their remaining sentinels. Wait, Vega interjected, standing nearby with her rifle slung over her shoulder. You're saying we need to hunt them down? We're explorers, not soldiers. Maya stood, brushing the dust from her uniform. We don't have a choice. If those sentinels find our ship, it's over. We need to deal with them before they deal with us. Kylathar rose as well, his movements fluid and deliberate. There is another reason to confront them. Deep within this world lies the Heart Forge, a source of great power and knowledge. If we are to secure it, the sentinels must be neutralized. The Heart Forge? Maya echoed, curiosity piqued. Kylathar gestured toward the horizon, where the twin moons illuminated a distant mountain range. It is the core of my people's legacy. The Dominion sought to harness it, but they failed to understand its true purpose. If you are to carry forward what was lost, the Heart Forge must be reclaimed. Maya exchanged glances with her crew. They were tired, wary, and unsure of what lay ahead. But they had come too far to turn back. All right, she said. We'll do it. But we'll need your help. Kylathar inclined his head. You have it? The journey to the Heart Forge began at dawn. Kylathar led the way, his steps unerring despite the alien terrain. The landscape shifted as they moved closer to the mountains. What had once been lush and verdant became barren and jagged, as though the land itself bore the scars of ancient battles. As they climbed a ridge overlooking a vast valley, Kylathar paused. He raised a hand, signaling the group to stop. What is it? Maya asked, scanning the horizon. Kylathar pointed to the valley below. Dozens of sentinels roamed in organized patterns, their glowing red sensors slicing through the dim light. At the center of the valley stood a towering obelisk, its crystalline structure dark and foreboding. That obelisk is their command node, Kylothar explained. Destroy it and the sentinels will fall. Easier said than done, Vega muttered, her eyes narrowing at the sight of the sentinel swarm. We don't have the firepower for that. Kylothar turned to Maya. You have me. Maya studied him, her mind racing through the possibilities. How close do you need to be to disable the obelisk? Kylathar's gaze was steady. Close enough to touch it? Of course you do, Maya said, exhaling sharply. She looked at her team. Here's the plan, Vega and Lee, you'll create a distraction. Draw as many of the sentinels away as you can. Turing and I will cover Kylothar as he gets to the obelisk. Lee frowned. And if we can't distract them all? Maya's expression hardened. Then we improvise. The descent into the valley was nerve-wracking. Every step felt like a gamble, every shadow a potential threat. Vega and Lee split off, moving along the western edge of the valley. Maya, Turing, and Kylothar took the eastern route, sticking close to the rocky outcroppings for cover. When the first shot rang out, the sentinels reacted instantly. Vega and Lee had opened fire, targeting the machines on the valley's perimeter. The sentinels shifted their focus, converging on the source of the attack. Move! Maya hissed, leading Kylothar and Turing toward the obelisk. The remaining sentinels were more alert now, their movements erratic as they scanned for additional threats. Turing fired a shot, hitting one sentinel square in its sensor. It collapsed, but the others quickly adjusted, their glowing red eyes locking onto the group. We've got company? Turing shouted. Maya fired back, her plasma bolts finding their marks, but the sentinels were relentless. They swarmed toward them, their jagged appendages gleaming. Kylothar stepped forward, his crown glowing brightly. He extended his hands, and a pulse of energy erupted outward, shattering several sentinels in an instant. Go! He commanded, his voice resonating with authority. Maya nodded and led the charge toward the obelisk. As they approached, its surface seemed to ripple as though alive. Kylothar placed a hand on it, and the obelisk emitted a piercing hum. The sentinels froze mid-motion, their red sensors flickering. One by one they collapsed, their bodies crumpling into lifeless heaps. It's done, Kylothar said, his voice quieter now. Maya exhaled in relief, her body trembling with exhaustion. That was too close. Turing approached the obelisk, his scanner buzzing. This structure is incredible. The energy it's emitting is off the charts. Kylothar turned to Maya, his expression solemn. This is only the beginning. The Heartforge lies ahead, and its power must not fall into the wrong hands. Are you ready to face what comes next? Maya met his gaze, her resolve unshaken. We didn't come this far to back down now. As the sun set over the valley, the group prepared to continue their journey. The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The bond between Maya and Kylothar was growing stronger, and their fates were now irrevocably tied. The distant silhouette of the mountain range loomed larger as the group pressed on, their steps careful and deliberate. The sentinels had fallen silent after the obelisk's destruction, but Maya's instincts told her their trial was far from over. Kylothar led the way, his form glowing faintly in the gathering twilight. His pace was steady, his expression unreadable. Maya followed close behind, her thoughts a swirling mix of anticipation and unease. We're getting close, Kylothar said, his voice breaking the silence. The Heartforge lies within those peaks. The air will grow heavier with energy the closer we get. Dr. Turing adjusted his scanner, which buzzed with increasing intensity. He's not kidding. These energy readings are unlike anything I've ever seen. It's like the planet itself is alive. It might as well be, Vega muttered, her gaze darting between the jagged terrain and the horizon. We still don't know what's waiting for us up there. Kylothar paused and turned to face the group. What awaits you is the last trial of the Asarian. Guardians of the Heartforge remain, bound by their oath to protect it from unworthy hands. They will test your strength, your resolve, and your unity. Guardians? Maya asked. Are we talking about more sentinels or something else entirely? Not sentinels, Kylothar replied, his tone grave. The Guardians are living constructs, imbued with the essence of my people. They are incorruptible, but they will not yield easily. Lee crossed his arms, his skepticism clear. So, basically we have to fight an army of immortal warriors to prove we're good enough to even touch this Heartforge? Kylothar's lips twitched into what might have been a faint smile. Not an army. 3. But they are formidable. Maya's gaze hardened. We'll handle it. We've come this far. We're not turning back now. The path to the Heartforge grew steeper, the terrain shifting from jagged rocks to smooth, crystalline formations that glowed faintly underfoot. With every step, the air seemed to hum with energy, a low vibration that resonated in their bones. Finally, they emerged into a massive cavern carved into the mountain. The walls sparkled like starlight, and at the center stood the Heartforge, a monolithic structure of interwoven crystals, pulsating with a rhythmic light. It felt alive, its energy radiating a warmth that was both welcoming and intimidating. But the Heartforge was not unguarded. 3 towering figures materialized before it, their forms shifting between solidity and translucence. They resembled humanoids, but their bodies were composed of crystalline shards that refracted light in dazzling patterns. Their eyes burned with an inner fire, and each carried a weapon that radiated power, a staff, a blade, and a bow. The guardian with the staff stepped forward, its voice echoing like a chime in the wind. You who seek the Heartforge must prove your worth. State your purpose? Maya stepped forward, her shoulders squared. We came here to learn, to preserve the knowledge of the Asarian, and to ensure it's not lost, or used for destruction. The blade-wielding guardian tilted its head, its voice sharper and colder. Words are easy. Conviction is harder. You must face us not as individuals but as one. The bow-wielding guardian raised its weapon, aiming it toward the group. If you fail, your journey ends here. Maya turned to her team. Stay together. We've got this. The guardians moved as one, their attacks synchronized and relentless. The one with the staff struck first, slamming it into the ground. Waves of energy rippled outward, forcing the group to scatter. Maya rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the shockwave, and fired her plasma pistol at the guardian's core. The shot hit but dissipated harmlessly. They're shielded, Turing shouted, scrambling for cover. We have to break their formation. Maya called back. Focus on one at a time. Vega fired her rifle at the bow-wielding guardian, aiming for its glowing joints. The guardian moved with inhuman speed, its crystalline form shimmering as it loosed an arrow of pure energy. The arrow struck the ground near Lee, sending up a spray of jagged shards. Lee growled, firing his weapon at the blade-wielding guardian, which was charging toward Kylothar. Hey Glowboy, now's a good time for one of your energy blasts. Kylothar stepped forward, his crown flaring with light. He raised his hand, releasing a focused beam of energy that struck the blade-wielding guardian. The impact shattered part of its shield, leaving it vulnerable. Now? Maya shouted. She and Vega opened fire, their combined attacks breaking through the guardian's defenses. It staggered, its crystalline body cracking before it dissolved into light. One down. Vega said, a hint of triumph in her voice. The remaining 2 guardians did not falter. The staff-wielding one slammed its weapon again, creating a gravitational pull that dragged the group toward it. The bow-wielding guardian used the opportunity to fire another arrow, this one aimed directly at Maya. Kylothar moved with lightning speed, stepping in front of her. The arrow struck his energy shield, which flickered but held. Maya stared at him, breathless. You didn't have to do that. It was not a choice, Kylothar replied simply. Taking advantage of the Guardian's momentary focus, Turing pulled out a device he'd been tinkering with during the journey. If their shields are energy-based, this might disrupt them. Temporarily? He activated the device, and a pulse of electromagnetic energy rippled outward. The Guardian's shields flickered. Maya didn't hesitate. Focus fire on the staff wielder. The team's coordinated attack brought the Guardian to its knees. With a final shot from Vega, it shattered like the first. The bow-wielding Guardian raised its weapon, its movements faster and more erratic now that it was alone. But without its shield it was vulnerable. Kylothar struck first, sending a wave of energy that immobilized the Guardian. Maya and Lee fired simultaneously, their attacks piercing its core. The final Guardian dissolved into light, and the cavern fell silent. As the dust settled, the Heartforge pulsed brighter, its rhythm steady and welcoming. Kylothar approached it, his expression unreadable. He placed his hand on its surface, and the crystals resonated with a harmonious tone. "It is done," he said softly. "The Heartforge recognizes you." Maya stepped forward, her heart pounding. "What happens now?" Kylothar turned to her, his gaze filled with something she couldn't quite name. "The Heartforge holds the essence of my people, their knowledge, their power, their hope. It is yours to protect." Turing's scanner buzzed wildly. This is beyond anything I imagined. It could change everything for humanity, or destroy it, Kylothar warned. The Heartforge is a gift, but it is also a burden. You must wield it wisely. Maya met his gaze, feeling the weight of his words. She had come seeking knowledge, but she had found something far greater, and far more dangerous. We'll protect it, she said. Together. Kylathar's expression softened. You speak with conviction. Perhaps there is hope for your kind after all. The Heartforge pulsed brighter as if affirming their unity. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, Maya felt they were ready for what lay ahead. The Heartforge's light continued to pulse in harmonious waves, casting a serene glow throughout the cavern. For a brief moment, Maya allowed herself to breathe, to take in the awe-inspiring sight before her. But she knew the reprieve was short-lived. The Guardians had fallen, but the true weight of what they had unleashed was only beginning to settle. What now? Lee asked, his voice cutting through the silence. We can't exactly carry this thing back to the ship. Kylathar turned to face the group, his form once again emanating a soft glow. The Heartforge cannot be moved. Its essence is bound to this place. But it can share its gifts, if you are prepared to receive them. Turing stepped forward, his scanner still buzzing with fervor. What kind of gifts are we talking about? Technology? Knowledge? Power? All of those, Kylathar said, his tone grave. But the Heartforge does not give freely. It will reveal only what it deems necessary, and its revelations come with responsibility. Maya crossed her arms, her gaze locked on the crystalline structure. So how do we connect with it? Kylathar stepped closer to her, his glowing eyes intense. You already have. By defeating the Guardians, you've proven your unity, your resolve. The Heartforge recognizes you as its protectors. Now you must decide how to wield its gifts. Before Maya could respond, a low rumble echoed through the cavern. The ground beneath their feet trembled, and the Heartforge's glow flickered. What's happening? Vega shouted, raising her rifle. Kylathar's expression darkened. The Dominion? The rumble grew into a deafening roar as a massive fissure opened at the far end of the cavern. Through it, a ship descended, its sleek, obsidian frame bristling with weapons. The Dominion insignia, a jagged spiral, was emblazoned on its hull. From the ship's open hatch, soldiers emerged, their armor glinting ominously in the Heartforge's light. At their center stood a figure clad in flowing, blackened robes, their face obscured by a featureless mask. So, the masked figure said, their voice amplified by a mechanical device, the rumors were true. The last Assyrian prince and his precious Heartforge. Maya stepped forward, her weapon drawn. Who are you and what do you want? The figure tilted their head as if amused. I am merely a servant of the Dominion. And what I want is what we have always wanted, the end of resistance. The Heartforge belongs to us as does the prince. Kylathar's glow intensified. You defiled my people and their legacy. You will not claim the Heartforge. The figure chuckled darkly. Defiance is a lovely trait, but it changes nothing. Stand down and I may consider sparing your lives. Maya tightened her grip on her plasma pistol. Not happening. The Dominion soldiers raised their weapons and chaos erupted. Maya ducked behind a crystalline outcropping as plasma bolts ricocheted around her. Vega and Lee returned fire, their shots precise but heavily outnumbered. We can't hold this position, Vega shouted. Kylathar moved to the Heartforge, his crown glowing brighter than ever. He extended his hands and the Heartforge pulsed in response. A barrier of light surrounded the group, deflecting the incoming fire. For now you are safe, Kylathar said. But the Heartforge cannot sustain this shield indefinitely. We must drive them back. Maya peeked over the barrier, her mind racing. There has to be a way to disrupt their ship. If we take it out, they'll lose their advantage. Turing scrambled to her side, clutching his scanner. The ship's energy core, it's destabilizing the Heartforge. If we overload it, the feedback could disable the ship and drive the Dominion out. Great, Maya said. How do we do that? Turing hesitated. We'd need someone to get inside the ship. I'll go, Maya said immediately. Kylathar turned to her, his expression unreadable. You would risk yourself for this? She met his gaze, her voice unwavering. I didn't come all this way to let them win. Kylathar placed a hand on her shoulder, his energy radiating warmth. Then I will go with you. Under the cover of the Heartforge's barrier, Maya and Kylathar slipped out of the cavern, moving swiftly and silently toward the Dominion ship. The soldiers were too focused on breaching the shield to notice their approach. As they reached the ship's underside, Kylathar placed a hand against its hull. His glow dimmed as he concentrated, and a portion of the ship's surface rippled and dissolved, creating an opening. Impressive, Maya whispered. This technology was once ours, Kylothar replied, his tone bitter. The Dominion merely twisted it. Inside, the ship was cold and sterile, its corridors illuminated by an eerie red light. Maya led the way, her weapon drawn, while Kylothar moved beside her, his steps soundless. They reached the engine room without incident. The core was a massive sphere of pulsating energy, suspended in midair by magnetic fields. Turing's voice crackled over Maya's comm. Captain, I'm patching into the ship's systems. If you overload the core, it'll destabilize the entire structure. But you'll only have a few minutes to get out before it goes critical. Understood, Maya said. She turned to Kylothar. Can you handle this? Kylothar nodded, stepping forward. Cover me. Maya positioned herself at the entrance, her pistol aimed at the corridor. Moments later, the Dominion soldiers realized something was amiss. Footsteps echoed down the hall, followed by shouted orders. Here they come, Maya muttered. The first soldier rounded the corner and Maya fired, her shot hitting him square in the chest. More followed, their weapons blazing. She ducked behind a console, returning fire as plasma bolts scorched the walls around her. Behind her, Kylothar raised his hands, his energy merging with the core. The sphere began to vibrate, its glow intensifying. It is done, Kylothar said, his voice strained. We must leave. Maya fired one last shot before retreating. Move. The two raced through the corridors, the ship shaking violently as the core destabilized. Dominion soldiers shouted in confusion, their focus shifting from pursuit to survival. As they exited the ship, the explosion rocked the cavern. A brilliant wave of energy surged outward, knocking the Dominion soldiers off their feet and shattering their ranks. The ship crumbled, its remains collapsing into the fissure from which it had emerged. The cavern fell silent once more, the Dominion's forces defeated. The Heartforge pulsed steadily, its glow brighter than ever. You did it, Vega said as Maya and Kylothar rejoined the group. We did it, Maya corrected, her gaze meeting Kylothar's. Kylothar inclined his head. The Heartforge is safe for now. But the Dominion will return. They always do. Then we'll be ready, Maya said, her voice firm. As the group stood together, the Heartforge's light enveloped them, a symbol of unity and hope. Though the battle was won, the war was far from over, and Maya knew their greatest challenges were yet to come. The air in the cavern was heavy with the lingering resonance of the Heartforge, its rhythmic pulse a reminder of both their victory and the immense burden they now carried. Maya wiped soot from her face as she surveyed the aftermath. The Dominion forces had been vanquished, but the cost of the battle weighed heavily on her mind. Kylothar stood by the Heartforge, his glowing form dimmed but steady. His gaze lingered on the crystalline monolith, a mixture of pride and sorrow etched into his features. It is done, he said softly. For now the Heartforge is safe. But this is only the beginning. Maya approached him, the weight of his words sinking in. You've said that before. What exactly does that mean for us? Kylothar turned to her, his glowing eyes meeting hers. The Dominion will return. They always do. They will stop at nothing to claim the Heartforge, and the knowledge it holds. Lee stepped forward, his rifle slung over his shoulder. Then we fortify this place. Set up defenses, make sure they don't get another chance. Turing shook his head, his scanner still humming faintly. That's not enough. The Dominion isn't just going to send another squad. They'll send an armada. This isn't just about defending the Heartforge. It's about what it represents. Maya's brow furrowed. What it represents? It's a beacon, Turing said. Not just for the Dominion but for anyone who values freedom, knowledge, and unity. If we use the Heartforge wisely, we could inspire a coalition strong enough to resist the Dominion. Maybe even defeat them. Kylothar's expression darkened. The Heartforge has the power to unite, but also to destroy. If it falls into the wrong hands, it could end civilizations. That is why it was hidden for so long. And now it's no longer hidden, Vega said grimly. So what's the play? Maya straightened, her resolve hardening. We take the fight to them. We don't wait for the Dominion to regroup and come back stronger. We build alliances, share what we've learned, and show the galaxy that we're not backing down. Kylothar studied her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Finally he nodded. If that is your path, I will stand with you. But know this, the journey will be fraught with danger. The Dominion has eyes everywhere, and they will not hesitate to strike at your weaknesses. Maya's gaze didn't waver. Then we make sure we don't have any. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. With Kylothar's guidance, the Heartforge revealed fragments of its knowledge, technologies that could revolutionize defense, communication, and energy production. But the Heartforged's true gift lay in its ability to amplify the connection between those who accessed it, fostering unity and understanding among its protectors. Maya stood with Kylothar in the Heartforged chamber, her thoughts racing as she reviewed a holographic map of the galaxy. "We can't do this alone," she said, gesturing to the map. "There are other worlds out there, planets under Dominion control, resistance groups fighting in the shadows. If we can reach them, show them what the Heartforged can do, we might stand a chance." Kylothar nodded. The Heartforged's power is not just in its knowledge, but in its ability to inspire. If you are to build a coalition, you must start with those who have the strength to resist. Maya turned to him, her expression determined. "And you? You've been a symbol of hope for your people. Will you help us lead this fight?" Kylothar hesitated, his gaze distant. "I am the last of the Asarian. My place has always been here, guarding the Heartforge." Maya stepped closer, her voice softening. "But you're more than that. You've already stepped out of the shadows to help us. You've fought beside us. You're part of this team now, whether you like it or not." His lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile. "Then it seems my path is intertwined with yours. I will stand with you, Maya." The first step in their plan was to establish communication with nearby resistance groups. Turing worked tirelessly, using the Heartforged energy to boost their long-range transmitter. Within days they had contacted a handful of groups scattered across the sector. One of the most promising responses came from a planet called Erinder, a resource-rich world that had been under Dominion occupation for decades. Its people were known for their resilience, and whispers of an underground rebellion had persisted despite the Dominion's efforts to crush dissent. "We'll start there," Maya decided. "If we can gain Erinder's support, it'll send a message to the rest of the galaxy." Vega raised an eyebrow. "You realize the Dominion isn't just going to let us waltz in and rally the locals, right?" "Good," Maya said, her tone sharp. "Let them come. We'll show them what happens when they underestimate us." The journey to Erinder was tense but uneventful. Kylothar's presence aboard their ship seemed to bring a sense of calm, his quiet strength a constant reassurance. As they approached the planet, the extent of the Dominion's grip became clear. Massive warships orbited the planet, their dark silhouettes casting ominous shadows over its surface. Turing frowned at his console. "Their defenses are tight. We're going to need a distraction to get through." Maya's lips curved into a determined smile. "Then let's give them one." The distraction came in the form of a carefully calculated strike on one of the Dominion's orbital stations. While Vega and Lee led the assault, Maya, Kylothar, and Turing slipped past the defenses and landed in a remote region of Erinder. The surface was a stark contrast to the vibrant worlds Maya had known. The land was scarred by decades of Dominion mining operations, its once lush forests reduced to barren wastelands. But the people of Erinder were very much alive. In a hidden bunker beneath the surface, Maya and her team met with the leaders of the rebellion, a mix of hardened warriors, resourceful engineers, and hopeful civilians. "The Dominion's grip is strong," said Terran, the rebellion's leader, a wiry woman with sharp eyes. "We've been fighting for years, but we've never had the resources to make a real dent." Maya stepped forward, her voice steady. "What if I told you we had something that could turn the tide? Something that could unite not just Erinder but the entire sector?" Terran's gaze narrowed. "I'd say you're either lying or insane." Kylothar stepped into the light, his presence commanding. The room fell silent as his glow illuminated the space. "I am Kylothar, last of the Asarian," he said. "And we bring with us the power of the Heartforge." The rebels stared in awe, the weight of his words sinking in. "This is your chance," Maya said. "Your chance to fight back, to stand together, and to show the Dominion that they can't control you anymore." Terran's expression hardened, her resolve clear. "If what you're saying is true, then we're in. But we'll need proof." "You'll have it," Maya said. "And together we'll show the galaxy what it means to fight for freedom." As the rebels prepared for their first coordinated strike, Maya stood with Kylothar on a cliff overlooking the scarred landscape. "You believe in them," he said. "I believe in us," Maya replied. Kylothar turned to her, his gaze softening. "And I believe in you." Maya's heart skipped a beat, but she pushed the feeling aside. There was no time for distractions. Not yet. The battle ahead would be fierce, but for the first time, Maya felt a glimmer of hope. Together they were stronger. Together they were unstoppable. And together they would change the galaxy. The end. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting HFY stories. Your support means the world to us. And make sure to tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Stay tuned for our next adventure, and until then, keep exploring the stars. See you in the next video.